Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Okay, we have Honé with us. Though Honé's BPD diagnosis was recent, they have struggled with major depression, OCD, anxiety, identity confusion, and extreme attachment issues their whole life. They identify as a Black, queer, non binary college student and artist. Their majors are photography and interactive arts, where they focus on studying light as being its own art medium as opposed to a means to an end. Welcome.
Hey, so like Bailey was saying, my name is Honé. I am a young college student in America, actually, which is really random because my first time going to the meetings, I had no idea they were in Canada. I just wanted to join something, and I remember this is before my diagnosis. I actually recently got diagnosis. Was I was just searching online for like resources, anything that I could possibly get, because I just know that this is what's happening to me and all of that, and I couldn't find anything. And this was the only place that I could find. And mind you, again, I'm in America, and if this is the only place I could find, you know what I'm saying? And it's helping me from like international level, like, that shows that it's important. Obviously, it's just that, there's really aren't any resources out there for us. But so I guess talking more about like the diagnosis. So, the backstory is the reason why I felt like this is because when I was younger, pretty much everybody in my family, including myself, just like knew that I was different. Like everybody was just like, she's just the weird child. Like I grew up, very religious, very inside the household, secluded Black family. And, I always was the odd one out. And, part of the reason was myself too, because I had anger issues my whole life, right? I had like anger issues. Like I always felt like I was like the demon child. And like, you know what I'm saying? Out of like, I'm like the third of like 8 kids, and I'm like the only one that's like this. And I never understood what was happening to me. And, mind you, feeling like I'm like the demon child my whole life. And then, getting to like 11 and then to teens, that's when I started to get like, I started to realize, oh, like OCD and like major depression and like major anxiety about everything, like consistently. So it's like going through that, going through like depression, mania, anger, all of that, and like all throughout my teens and everything like that. It was just like, it was a lot, because it was like, it's one part of it is that like you have gone through major abuse, right? But then it's like it can turn you into like feeling like you're the abuser too, right? And like there are instances where it's like, yes, I've gone through abuse, but also I have been the abuser. So it's like, it's just so much that has gone through like my whole life. And, I just hit 20 this year. And it's been a really long journey of uncertainty and, all of these things. And like, I never got to have a real diagnosis. I never got to have, help and therapy. My family was the type of family that like never talked about mental health, never talked about anything like that. Only like spirituality and stuff like that. So it's like, there was never any outlet for me to speak about my feelings, to speak about, anything about myself. So it's like, I had an inkling, like, damn, like I must have like OCD, I must have I'm like, I know what I'm feeling, and all of that. So when I finally, was at the age where I can like, research more about myself, I had like gone through the list of like, am I a sociopath? Am I all of these things? And I never reached this. And I always thought, well, maybe I'm bipolar. And like, I had thought that for like years. And I was like, something is always not right. It's like, I can connect with parts and bits and pieces of so many things, but nothing fit. So I never knew who I was. And, also had like identity confusion, like, looking at myself in the mirror and like can't even recognize who that is. Like I see that it's her. It's not me. So it's like a whole life of feeling like outsider, a whole life of feeling like a demon, a whole life of not even understanding who I am as a person in my own body, not recognizing who I am, not understanding who I am. So it's like, who are you? Who is making you? Who is you as opposed to like the residue of other people that have been around you, the residue of your abuser, the residue of, pressure and society and everything. Like what is authentic in you? And that's something that like every person goes through, but it's like 10 times worse when we have people. And I didn't realize that like, it's such a complicated thing to have because it's like, it's so many things, you know, like there isn't even a medication for it. It's just the amalgamation of like every fucking thing, you know, and it's also dependent upon the person. And it's a lot of things that go into this. And it's a very difficult thing to have. And for it to be like that and have no resources is a really tough thing to go through. Especially because like, you know, if you look, anybody can look it up. You know, a lot of people have talked about it themselves. It's just like, there are therapists that turn us down. You know, like actual resources, actual people who like are paid to do their job, actual people who like, you know, broadcast themselves as being helpful to people, helpful and empathetic to mental illness, but turn us down, therapists, psychiatrists, you know, institutions, like whole institutions themselves will turn us down because they feel like we're too difficult. And it's because we're misunderstood. And yes, we have a lot of issues, but it's like we deserve help, and this group is providing that, and it's so crucial. And you know, it's been really hard. Like a lot of people don't understand. You know, like growing up, like personally, a big part of everything that I've gone through is my depression. And a lot of people kind of feel like they have like this attitude of mental illness, like something has to happen to you, and like boom, something happens and you fix it. You know, it's always like this, like consistent, like, you know, and people don't understand that like some people are so deeply embedded in like their everyday that it's like a real like long-term issue. You know, it could be a lifelong issue. It can happen like super young. A lot of people don't even get diagnosed with like anything crazy until, not crazy, but you know, out of the ordinary of what we usually talk about until they're older. So they go through their whole childhood, like me, not understanding themselves, always feeling outsider. You know what I'm saying? Like even their parents kind of just outsiding them. And it's tough. And a lot of people don't understand, like, you know, no, you're not your mental illness, right? But in my own personal experience, like how it feels is like a lot of people think that you get depressed. I get happy. Like I am consistently always 24/7 depressed, you know. And it used to be when I was younger, I was consistently depressed and angry. And now I'm like, as I got older and as I learned more coping mechanisms and stuff like that, it's like, you know, I've been able to ease the anger part a lot, which is really good accomplishment for me because I thought that would never happen, you know. So it's like I have to get happy, and that's really hard and difficult, and it's momentary, you know. And sometimes it's not even real, you know, even to myself, checking myself, you know, it's a tough thing to go through. And it's really alienating, and it feels alone and all of these things. And, you know, all of these different aspects of myself, not understanding myself, not seeing the person in the mirror, not, you know, feeling like I have a place in this world, all of these different issues, even more, you know what I'm saying? Like I have never found a place where people have understood what I'm talking about. like every meeting, you know, somebody has like connected with what I've said, and it doesn't have to be the same person every time, but that's important because it's like that's the beauty in a group, right? Like everybody's so different, everybody brings something to the table, you know, even the people leading it themselves. I think that's something that's also important. Like a lot of people going to like one therapist is not the goal, that's not the help that they need, because you know, one, it can feel like somebody is just authority figure over you that's judging you and doesn't understand because they're not going through themselves. And that's the important thing about this group is like, one, it was started by people that were going through it. And then, you know, they also bring their own vulnerability to the table, own problems to the table too. It's like a group effort. You know what I'm saying? Like they're able to lead the space and also talk about themselves in a way it's like, oh, you understand me. You know what I'm saying? You didn't study this in a textbook. Like you get what I'm going through. You understand what I'm going through. That means that you are able to empathize deeply with what I'm going through because you get it. And I think that's like really important to recognize that like these are resources that we need, and these are resources that we've never had, you know. And this is the one time that we're able to like connect with people, you know. To be honest, like it's, you know, it sounds like, I guess it sounds really depression to say, but like, you know, sometimes I feel like I live every day waiting till Wednesday, like, because I'm like, it's the only time where like people understand what the fuck I'm talking about, like for real. So it's like, it's hard, like, especially like going through like different types of relationships, like not just like romantic ones, but any type of one, like that is difficult with BPD. People don't understand what's happening, You know, like people just feel like you're walking out of them, or you're being like a bitch, or you're being angry, or all of these things. Like they have all of these ideas of you, and they don't understand like this is really a battle, like a lifelong battle, and it's really deep, and it's a difficult thing to have, you know. And that's the argument, though. Like it's a difficult thing to have, and that's the argument why people just discard us, and you know, do whatever. But it's like, you know, it's difficult, and right, it's like difficult, and what can we do? You know, who can we talk to? What resources do we need? I think that's important. Like, and I also think like, you know, I guess it's literally connected. Like people in Canada, I don't know, but you know, the American state of mind is like always either or, right? And you know, growing up in African culture is, you know, Africans see both and, right? It's like, what can we do? You know, how can we build community? How can we nurture each other? How can we nurture ourselves? How can we indulge in ourselves? You know, and I feel like this is a place where we can do that. And it's so important. And you know, I think it's important to remember that, like, you know, there's so many resources online that are just saying like BPD is like, you know, they're villains. Like we're villainized. And it's difficult because a lot of people realize that they're like, oh, okay, they're villainized, and it's with like a neurotypical person. You know what I'm saying? They think that that's the only issue. Like neurotypical people are like putting the stigma on it. Yes. You know, the outside world who are not going through it, you know, have this preconceived idea of people with BPD. But let's think about the children, the youth that are going online and reading that about themselves. It's not always about the neurotypical person, and neurotypical people are usually centered the conversation. And it's time to decenter them from the conversation. Let's talk about the people who are going through it and looking online and like hearing that they're a horrible person. Remember, again, like I grew up my whole life feeling like I was a demon to this day. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going through that and going through those motions myself to this day. But it's like, you know, it's a tough thing to deal with because everybody in the world doesn't understand you, and they're saying F you every chance that they could possibly get. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we have to have resources for people to feel like they are understood, but they're loved and appreciated and empathized with, and somebody understands what they're going through. I think it's very important to tell that child, like, oh, we get you. We get you. Yes, you have issues that are happening right now, but, you know, this is what you can do about it. And especially too, like, you know, the biggest help with somebody with BPD is going through DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy. And that is rare, right? Like it takes people a long time to be able to find somebody that's actually certified, because you have to be certified and that to really be able to give that help. And it's rare. You know, it's even rarer than just having treatment in general that is knowledge in the area of BPD, right? And now, you know, Bailey, congrats, actually just got their certification, as well as somebody else that's in this group. And I think it's important too to recognize is that this isn't just a place where, you know, it's people can understand each other, but people who actually know what they're talking about, people who are knowledge in this area, not just from personal experience, but from actual training. These are certified people. They're very capable of doing their job. And I think this place is very important. You know, like we need these resources, and, you know, we have to be speaking up, because even if we're not going through ourselves, like we need to be, you know, magnifying voices in general, you know. So that's important. This group is
I have a few questions that I want to ask. Someone had mentioned that I was breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure what the issue is. Are you on the Facebook at the same time?
I'm sorry, you said what?
Are you playing the Facebook? Like, are you playing Facebook Live on your phone at the same time?
Oh, Facebook Live? Do you need me to go on Facebook?
No. I was just wondering because there's feedback for some reason. I thought maybe that was the reason.
Oh, I didn't know.
I don't know. There's some reason my voice is breaking up. I don't know.
I can hear it. It's not that you're breaking up. My computer, the speaker is actually broken.
Oh, that's the reason. Okay.
Yeah. So everything's always down there weird. So sometimes I gotta like, you know, really listen.
But I don't think people can hear me because it's coming over your speaker.
Oh God.
It's like echoing back.
Oh my God, that is so crazy.
Oh no.
Lord.
Okay, here. Can you see that? Can you see the private chat I just sent you? Okay, I'll ask you the questions in there.
Okay.
Okay. Did you read it out too?
I didn't get anything. Okay. Oh, okay. Do you want me to read out the questions?
Yeah, please.
So the question was, how did I feel when I first found out I was living with BPD? It's crazy. So I went through the motions when I figured out myself is from a YouTube video, which is crazy. I know that sounds crazy. Don't self-diagnose. Don't do that. But the reason why I understood this time is because I've been looking up crazy research about like everything that you can think of, trying to understand who I am, trying to understand myself. And I never got it, right? And then I finally, literally last year, read something that, did a bunch of research on BPD, and I understood like the connection between like, everything always talks about something external, right? A lot of like things that you're battling, this is something that is like really internal, like an internal battle with yourself. And having like these attachment issues that I've had, and having like not being able to, really connect with people, and like not feeling confident in myself, and not in a regular way, like a very much like literally so much self-hatred for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then when I finally got diagnosed, it was like, well, I celebrated first of all, I called my friends and I was like, oh, period. Like, I celebrated because it was the first time that I could, understand myself. It was the first time that, somebody else understood me really. Like I could really finally be like, okay, I get what's going on. And now where do we go from here? But it also felt hard because it was like, well, damn, like this is gonna be a very long struggle. You know what I'm saying? Like this ain't easy, it's not something easy to be diagnosed with, especially knowing that so many people turn you down, so many people are not gonna take you and anything like that. So it was excitement, but it was also like, it really made me feel defeated as well. Yeah.
I was just commenting. I'm going to type.
I love that type of stuff. You know that element video?
I think it's ASMR.
Oh my God. Oh, wait. Well, the second question is, what gifts or positive traits do you see folks with BPD have? I'm so glad you brought this up because I want us to talk about this. Again, back to the whole going on the internet and seeing people villainize you every day, left and right? This is really the only place that I've heard people talk about the beauty in BPD. That is really rare. Like, this space is really inclusive to all feelings and all of that. And there's actually one person in the group, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say his name, so I'm not going to. But there's one person in this group, and I'm sure he knows who he is, but he's really dope. And he always brings up, the beauty in it, talking about how, yes, we have a lot of emotions that we're dealing with, and that's really hard. But it makes us empathetic. We're able to empathize with the world very deeply, and we're able to understand people very deeply, and we reach out to people in a real way because we want that connection. It's very hard to have that human connection for us, but we want it, and that's the difference. You know what I'm saying? We really want that connection, so we're really able to like understand people in a different way, and want to make people know that we understand them. And I think that's, it's good to have a friend with BPD. Get you a friend with BPD. Okay. Good for that.
Your best friend for life.
Period. Oh my God. The next question is, what has been the most helpful on your healing journey? This group. I talk about this like, listen, I'll rep this group today. I don't give a fuck. Like, for real, is you know, I love it here. I love it here, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not being forced to come at all. I'm not being forced to come here on Wednesdays. Listen, this for me, like, again, I'm in America. This is international. This is helping people across the world. This group is so imperative to have. Like, this group for me, where I'm at in the East Coast, listen, this starts at 10 o'clock at night. Okay, this group class starts at 10 o'clock at night. I don't care how tired I am, I come to this group. If that doesn't tell you enough, like, listen, like, I really value it here. And it feels like a family. It really does. Like, when somebody doesn't come, I notice. I'm like, well, I hope they're okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people, like, it's not just names on the screen. Like, we really do, get to know each other, and we care about each other. And, like, the people leading this group, they know us. You know what I'm saying? And we welcome people all the time. People that's coming in, it's like you're walking into a family that you're also going to be part of, if you say. It's really important. Like, I really like the people that are here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was in Canada talking with y'all.
That means a lot. One day we'll meet in person, I'm sure.
That we have.
I know.
Oh my god.
We'll have a convention.
Yeah, I come over here to vote. The next question is, what is your experience as a Black, queer, non-binary person living with BPD? It sucks. It sucks. It really does. And in fact, if you are a Black person living with BPD, I would watch the TV show Insecure, because I just found this episode where one of the characters has bipolar disorder, but I really related to what they were going through, because it was like, they had like this push and pull, right, of like wanting to run away. This is my personal experience. Again, everybody with BPD is different, but this is what I personally deal with. The world feels like too much, and everything feels like too much, and wanting to run away, and then for yourself, and also because you don't feel like people understand you, and that causes a lot of issues. It ends a lot of relationships, and it's hard enough as a Black person, especially a non-binary person, to have those relationships. And again, I grew up really cultural, so like this whole queer side of myself is not accepted. So it's like it's really hard because again, I'm always like the problem child, and like that just adds on to it. And it's hard to get resources. It's hard for people to understand what I'm going through. Like, it's hard enough for me to get any type of resource in general, let alone when I'm having a manic episode and I need to dip, right? Like, it's ruining these chances for me to get ahead. It's ruining the ability for people to empathize with my situation, because a lot of people, even if you disclose that you have a mental disorder, this is with anything, right? Even if I say I'm going through this and somebody says, oh, I accept that, I accept you, right? They still expect you to act neurotypical, like, because it's a word to them. So when you actually do what you said you had, then they're like bothered by it, offended by it, hurt by it, and all of these things, and they never empathize with you though. It's like, everybody, even if you disclose or not, are expecting you to act like a neurotypical person. You're not a neurotypical person. You know what I'm saying? That's not to escape accountability. That's not to say that you can't do no wrong. That's not to say that you can't apologize. That's not to say that you can't do all of these things. I'm just saying that, there is no empathy when it comes to people with mental illness, especially Black people with mental illness, and there's no support when it comes to Black people with mental illness, let alone a non-binary person, right? Because anything that opposes white supremacy is going to be shot down. And we are living in a white supremacist society, globally. So, anything that makes people feel uncomfortable or any type of way, like they just feel like it's automatically opposing them. And it's really hard to walk into a building or an institution or any type of space and feel like my existence is opposing when I'm just trying to live my life. So it's hard. Yeah.
Thank you. Before we go into the Q&A, is there anything that you would like to share that we didn't get a chance to?
Just that, listen, again, this is a family, and you know, this is the only place where I feel understood. And I know that I'm not alone in that feeling. And you know, it's a free resource. This is free DBT. This is a free family, a free community, you know, and we don't get that anywhere. It's not even in the States. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, this is a place where you can come to feel heard and understood and seen. And this is a place where you can actually get certified help for free. That is unheard of, okay? For free. I don't know about you guys, but I know her system, mind you, for free. So, you know, anything that you can do to help us keep our family together is really appreciated, because this is a family and we don't want to be broken from. So, you know, we love it here. We choose to be here. We choose to be here. We choose to support each other. We choose to uplift each other. And we intend to do that. We intend to continue to do that. So, you know, anything that you could do to help is really appreciated.
Well, thank you, Honé. We love that you're in the group. You bring so much love and light and energy, and I wish you could hear me better. But, I've asked if anyone has any questions, so we'll just wait a moment, and I will type it to you. Look like Doran has a question. Hi. I just say hi. This is Sam.
I love. Oh my goodness.
This is my mom.
Oh, that's so cute.
Hey.
Oh my god.
Okay, well, all right, well, it doesn't look like anyone has any questions for you. So I really appreciate your time and for sharing your story with us. And we will be back at 5 with Sarah Lambert, who is a family member. And we'll see you on Wednesday.
Thank you so much for having me. There's no other place I'd rather be. So thank you so much. Peace out.